Diaz here. Welcome back to yet another episode of What's Up Doc, Dentist Confession. Today I wanted to keep this as simple as the concept of waiting. Recently I have been talking to the young members of our team and we were discussing, I'm not sure what brought it up to be honest with you, but we were discussing that the difference between the generations as far as being patient to get to where they want to be, achieving goals in life, achieving their purpose or finding their purpose, fulfilling their purpose. And one of them asked me, they said that I don't understand how did you guys make it through with no technology, with no social media, with no cell phones? And a couple of us, my generation, looked at each other and we honestly never really thought of it that way. What makes us so patient to get where we want to get or to achieve what we want to achieve? We contemplated for a while and we threw some ideas out that didn't make any sense. And then I said, you know what, this is really a good point because our generation didn't have social media or cell phones or we didn't even have cars. So our families didn't give us cars to drive. We had to hitch a ride or ask somebody to drop us off or take us somewhere, or especially with me as a girl, again, living in Saudi Arabia, women didn't drive. So I had to rely on dad or brothers or friends and so forth and so on. So I guess what we came up with, or we started to realize, is because we did not have any of the tools that they have right now, we had to wait for everything. We had to wait for the phone call to come through. We had to wait for somebody to get off the phone so we can make the phone call. We had to wait for mail to get an application or form or a letter, no emails. We had to wait for a ride to get somewhere. We had to wait for a ride to pick us up from somewhere. We had to wait in line for everything because everything was made manually or done manually. And everything was a tedious task of collection and paperwork. And we are so paranoid about losing track of things because everything that we had was paper. And if you lose the paper or a paper that you need to get something done at that moment in that day, the whole day is ruined. The whole plan of the day is gone because you lost that piece of paper. I remember distinctly that many times I'll reach to the place where I am supposed to be and I forgot my papers. So they cannot process anything without papers. It's not like I can pull up my phone and send a text and send an email. Oh, I don't have my ID. Let me just put my ID on my phone. No ID. You go back and you come back tomorrow. Well, I need a ride for tomorrow. I have to take, I'm in school tomorrow. Or the person that dropped me off left me there for an hour thinking that I'm going to go through the process of getting something like that done. So guess what? I don't even have the time that I can go back home, get the paper, and go back and start the process all over again because the day is going to be over. By the time I get back, it will be the end of the day and they're going to be closed. So I know this sounds insane, madness, but that's the world where my generation grew up. That is how life was running back then. So if you didn't have patience and if you didn't want to wait, if you didn't have the time to negotiate and create a way to get things done, nothing got done. Because the lack of digitization and the lack of the fast technology that can save us every single time something does not work, or something can't work, or something won't work, or something needs to work, wasn't there. That element of life was absent. It wasn't even an idea. So in the 90s, I was finishing undergrad, married by 92. My husband was in graduate school. So just a very simple example. So newlyweds, he's in California, I'm in New York. We had to buy a cell phone. It was so expensive because he was worried about me going into the city in Manhattan, walking and living by myself. You know, I never lived on my own. I went from my parents' house to getting married, then to graduate school. I lived by myself in the dorms, but I never really lived in a city. Dorms was just going to class, going back to the room, back and forth. So it was very, mainstream, one direction. I didn't have to wander around or trying to find my way or trying to find, directions per se. So even as simple as finding directions to get somewhere that you've never been, it was always about writing it down or print. We used to print the directions on Google. And as we're driving, we used to look on the side. It's all right, should I turn left? Should I turn right? There's no navigation. There is no somebody telling you, a car stop on the side, overspeeding, police ahead, or there's no technology. You're just driving and you're hoping for the best. If you get there, you get there. If you don't get there, you're out of luck. So if you live that kind of life, if you can actually pull yourself out of this life here that is so digitally dependent and technologically dependent, and strip all that out of your daily process and kind of try to say, okay, today I'm going to work, but without cell phone, without navigation, or without weather warning, or any kind of assistant, digitized assistant. I did my residency in Reading, Pennsylvania. I used to drive an hour and a half, 90 minutes one way, rain, snow, sunshine. I drove for a whole year back and forth from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, so that's across different states. I did not have navigation. I didn't have a cell phone. Maybe I did. I don't remember. I think I did, yeah. I did, but signals were horrible back then. I remember driving in the midst of a very heavy snowstorm coming from Pennsylvania back to New Jersey where I lived, and visibility was zero. And I was all by myself in my little Toyota Camry driving. There was nobody on the road. We finished early, they dismissed us early, and we had to go home, but there was no assistant. You had to use your intuition, you had to use your logic, you had to use your common sense, you have to use your knowledge, you had to use your experience. You have to listen to your mom's voice in your head telling you do and don't. What did I teach you? Be careful. Don't do this. Don't go there. Don't do that. But it was more self-reliance than digital reliance. And I guess that will answer the question why we are the way we are, why we're so patient, because we had to wait for everything. We had to figure everything out. We had to plan everything ahead. There was no, boop, I want that. All right, done. I need that. Okay, done. I need an answer. There it is. There's none of that. You really have to put a lot of effort. So when the other way around, when you give me something that's easy, I get suspicious because that's it? That's really easy, because everything we did was hard work and we put a lot of effort into it. I thought I'll share that because I know I have so many team members. They're very young. They're early 20, 21, 22, 23. And, they ask me that question all the time. So I'm out of time again. I wish you well, and I'll catch you on the next video.